Hello, and welcome to another video from the Marriage and Family Clinic. My name is Aaron Anderson. I'm the director here. Today's topic we're going to be talking about are 3 conversations you can have with your spouse to rebuild romance. First of all, it happens in marriages, of course, where things get a little bland and they get a little stale. Now, this doesn't mean that your marriage is bad or that there's something wrong with it. That's just kind of how things go sometimes. And when that happens, you got to be able to rebuild the romance somehow. Now, every professional, every therapist will tell you to do date nights, and that's an important part of keeping the romance alive. But when you're on date nights, often what happens is couples end up talking about the same stuff they talk about when they're at home. They calendar about who's picking up who and who's going to the one kid's dance class and the other one's going to the other one's soccer game. And then, of course, don't forget about the work party coming up, and I need you to be there early because we're bringing this. And they end up talking about these same things on date night. Well, if you're talking about those same things on your date night, you're really not getting much value. You could be doing the same things at home when you are watching Netflix or something like that. So these conversations I'm going to give you are just conversation starters, but you can have them on a date night, which is preferred, but you can also have them at home or in your bedroom in a quiet moment, whatever. So here we go, 3 conversations to help you rebuild romance. Conversation number 1, and again keep in mind these are just conversation starters. What is one life goal you want to accomplish? Think about it, when you were young you had all kinds of ideas about what you wanted to be when you grew up, and when you got married, of course, you thought this was going to be a vehicle to help you get to some of those goals perhaps, and when you know it, life is unpredictable, and you're not exactly in the position you thought you'd be. Doesn't mean it's bad, but you're not exactly in the position you want to be. So it's a fun conversation that you can have with your spouse. What is one life goal you still want to accomplish? The second one is, if you could do our honeymoon over, what would you do different? That's another conversation to have. You think back, when you first got married, the average age for men is 27 and the average age for women is 25, at least that's U.S. national data. And when you look back, maybe you had your first big job and you thought you had enough money to do what you wanted to do, but you were still on a budget. I mean, you still are on a budget, of course. But looking back, maybe you would have done things differently. Maybe you wouldn't have gone to the place that you went to. Maybe you would have gone somewhere tropical instead, or maybe you would have gone somewhere that had a little funner theme park maybe, or something like that, or maybe you wouldn't have gone to the theme park that you did. But what would you have done different? If you could do the honeymoon over again, what would you do different? That's another fun conversation to have with your spouse, and it can tell you a lot about where you are in your marriage. The third conversation to have to help rebuild romance is, what is one unexpected thing you learned about yourself from marriage? Marriage, of course, stretches you. It forces you to look inside yourself, and of course requires a lot of patience and a lot of other things. But it's fun to talk with your spouse and see, what have they learned? What is one unexpected thing they learned about themselves? And of course, as you've been married a while, you see your partner change in several different ways, and it'd be interesting to see if they see the same things that are changing that you're seeing. These are 3 fun conversation starters to have to help rebuild your romance. Leave your comments below. Tell me if it helps.